Once we've begun to investigate the question, who am I? The next step is to explore the story that we tell about ourselves. And the first thing that you encounter when you go to examine your story is what I call the demons at the gate. The demons at the gate are those aspects of yourself that are there to protect the status quo, to keep you from moving into dangerous territory. So there are things like resistance. There are things like shame. There are things like fear. There are things like guilt. Very often, as you approach the truth, darkness will start to rise up to block you from your progress. That darkness is the ego's apparatus for blocking you from freedom, from stepping outside the story. So as you approach the perimeter of the story, so to speak, shadows and resistances and demons will start to come up that say, don't go there. And when you're doing this writing practice, when fear arises, when dread arises, when shame arises, that is an indication that you're moving in the right direction. So it's counterintuitive because obviously in life, fear is there to protect us. But in fact, when it comes to self-inquiry, when it comes to spiritual practice, and when it comes to doing this writing practice, fear is there to block you from progress. Okay? Fear is there to keep you in pain, so to speak. It doesn't want your freedom. So when you feel those negative, frightening forces start to come up in you, you know you're getting warm. Those are precisely the moments when you want to keep going. Remember that the truth is dangerous. The truth is catalytic. The truth is an anarchic force in a certain way because it doesn't obey the laws of propriety and the status quo. Okay, the truth is there to set you free, and being set free can be very, very threatening to the ego. So notice the demons at the gate that come up as you begin to approach your own freedom. All the reasons why you shouldn't keep going. Another common demon at the gate is boredom. Very often students will say, oh, I'm getting bored with this process. In fact, boredom is a kind of smoke screen. Boredom is a code word for something that's making you uncomfortable, that's causing you to shut down and go away. So you can be bored because you're not engaging deeply enough in the process, or you can be bored, so to speak, or lose interest precisely because you're getting too close to the truth and to information, forbidden knowledge that would be the doorway out of your own narrative. So don't be fooled by the demons at the gate. When we look at fear, when we approach our negative or destructive emotions, they begin to dissipate. When we withdraw from them and turn away from them, that's how they get stronger and more entrenched. So as we learn step by step, moment by moment, case by case, to move toward our negative feelings, toward the demons at the gate, they start to shrink into place, and we realize, in fact, that all they are is thoughts. They're just old, repetitive patterns of thoughts that are there to keep us stuck. The next step is to look at the question of meaning. When you're exploring the story, you find that it is constructed around a core of meaning, something that gives your life purpose, that explains who you are to yourself, that seems to gives you weight, okay, gives you more legitimacy. And the question of meaning is what drives us in our lives, even more than the desire for bread, as the saying goes. We can't live by bread alone. Man needs meaning. We need to have a sense that we signify, that there's a purpose to our lives. That's very, very important to us. And the story is there to support whatever story of meaning we tell ourselves. So ask yourself, what does your life most deeply mean to you? What do you believe gives you purpose? And you'll notice the connection between that idea of meaning and the story that you tell about who you are and who you're not. Because often when we let the whole truth out, the whole idea of meaning can get a little bit shady because it's more complex than we want to allow. As we begin to draw things out of the shadow, our sense of meaning changes with it. Now, inherent in the question of meaning and storytelling is choice, the importance of choice and choosing. It is through your choice that you create meaning in your life. You probably know Viktor Frankl's wonderful book, Man's Search for Meaning. And the central tenet of that book is that it is through our choices that we create purpose, significance, or not. Okay, so in any given circumstance, you have the opportunity to choose your response to your circumstances and to choose your response to what is true for you. Do you withdraw from it? If you do, then your life loses meaning. If you move toward it, if you choose to move in the direction of freedom and honesty and legitimacy, your sense of meaning will deepen proportionately. So look at the question of meaning when you're examining your story and say, what do things in your life mean to you? Realize that meaning itself is a story and that meaning changes. So what meant something to you yesterday may not mean anything to you today. It's very important to stay current with our own sense of meaning and not just go on automatic and assume that because we wanted something 5 years ago that it necessarily, is going to take us where we want to move in our future. So meaning, choice, and story are intimately connected with one another. And finally, in looking at the story, examine the role of love in your life. Remember that love invents us. In fact, we invent our self-image based on how we are seen by other people from the earliest age. We understand, and scientists tell us, that a child's brain is formed in response to how the mother or the primary caretaker looks at us. The mother's gaze is extremely important to our feeling like we matter in the world, to feeling like we're seen in the world, and also in teaching us empathy. We learn to love other people by how we're loved by our primary caretaker. So we are literally invented by love. We're invented by empathy. We're invented by connection. And at the center of everyone's story is a love story. And the aspects of your life that are connected to love go to the core, the heart of who you believe you are, what you most deeply want in your life, what your aspirations and longings are. So look at where love plays out in your life, where love is missing in your life, beginning, of course, with self-love. There is no love of others without the ability to accept and embrace ourselves. So where are you limited in self-love? How does that limitation in self-love block how you're able to connect to other people? Where does shame come in? Because shame often is the response to the absence of love. So where shame comes up, notice how does it connect to love, okay, or the absence of love. This is very, very important. It's a cliche to say that love is the reason for living, but it is the truth that it is for connection and for relationship and through empathy and compassion that we come into our truest being. Love literally invents us in its practice, but love is a verb. Love is an active force. So where are you able to love? Where are you blocked from loving? Where do you not believe that love is possible for you? These are all critical aspects of the story you tell about your own self-worth, about what your life means, and, of course, what demons are there at the gate blocking you from moving forward. Very often, they're connected to love. So if you have great fear about something, how does it relate possibly to the loss of love or to the potential loss of love? Very often fear and the worry about losing connection or the care of others are deeply aligned with each other. So to begin with demons at the gate, look at what they are, move toward them, notice how they diminish, how they're only thoughts. Second, meaning and choice, how they are inherent in the story that you tell yourself. And finally, love. And how have you been invented by love? What are your stories about love? That will take you to a very, very deep awareness of what makes you tick, what really truly matters to you, and where you're blocked, where you're unable to expand, where you feel like you can't move forward. So that's what we get when we move into exploring the story.